I unironically love School of Rock. A few years ago, I posted on Facebook that if you were to ask me my favorite movie, I'd probably say Lord of the Rings. But if I were to gauge it by number of times watched, it would probably be Mask of Zorro, Return of the Jedi, or School of Rock. I probably watch it once a year. It was released in 2003, aka Hollywood's last great year. Link below. Also, the year we buried PG-13. I wonder if those are related. Seriously, I don't have enough to make a full video on it, and I don't like researching, so here's a little bonus on it. In 2003, School of Rock, Pirates of the Caribbean, Bruce Almighty, Runaway Jury, and Big Fish were all released, and they were all rated PG-13 because a study had come out that showed that teenagers didn't want to see PG movies anymore. So studios were asking for the PG-13 rating for the street cred, essentially, whether the movie deserved it or not. And this created a weird ripple effect because we also had Peter Pan, Sinbad Legend of the Seven Seas, Finding Nemo, and Elf come out with a PG rating that they should not have had. Maybe Elf. I can't remember if it has language in it or not. Anyway, neither here nor there. When I saw this movie, I was 15. It was actually the first movie that we ever rented from Netflix back in the mailer days. You didn't need to know that. And I was at the perfect point in my life to latch onto that movie in a very big way. I had always loved the idea of playing guitar. I was very into doing air guitar, but that was the year that I actually started taking lessons. 3-ish years before that, I also really started to latch onto music and develop my own preference and taste. And I became a music snob because I realized that I liked very little of current music, and I really liked classic rock. Let me clarify, I am still a snob. I have grown as a person. If you tell me you like something that is terrible, I've matured enough to just let it go and not rip into you. Unless you tell me that you actually think that it's good, then I will judge you hardcore. Moving on. There's a band called Apologetics that does Christian parodies of songs from all over the music spectrum. And also in early 2003, they released an album called Atom Up, and that was the way that I first heard Crazy Train. And it blew my mind. So into this perfect storm of my life came my first exposure to Jack Black, if you don't count Neverending Story 3, and why would you? And this movie spoke to my soul and catapulted my interest in and knowledge of rock history. A movie about a guy teaching a younger generation about the joys of old school rock. I did not intend that as a pun. When I saw so many people around me just listening to straight up garbage, yes, please. It was also really funny, really quotable, and just fun. It touched me. But if I just liked it, I don't think it would have stayed with me like it has. It would be a movie that I like, but I definitely wouldn't watch it every single year. No. School of Rock is an objectively great movie. It falls into the, I don't know if you'd call it a genre or a category or maybe a trope, but it's what you call an inspirational teacher story when you get down to the bones of it. It's pretty common. A new unorthodox teacher comes to a school and changes his students' lives. Dead Poet Society, Goodbye Mr. Chips, Remember the Titans, and you could make an argument about Good Will Hunting all being examples of this kind of a story. Some were about the students, like in Dead Poet Society, and some were about the teacher, and School of Rock may very well be the best one about the teacher. Usually, the teacher's arc is just about the quest of figuring out how to reach the kids. But Jack Black's Dewey Finn actually has personal growth throughout the movie. Also, inside of the ones about the teacher, usually the kids are kind of treated as like a monolith. They all need the same thing, and the difference between them is just how they have to be reached, if there is a difference at all. But in School of Rock, the kids all need different things. When we first meet Dewey, he's a jerk. He's full of himself and has extreme delusions of grandeur. He's convinced himself that succeeding as a rock star will change the world, but it has to be the way that he wants to do it. His way or the highway. This attitude gets him kicked out of his band at the beginning of the movie, but he's pretty sure that it's their fault, not his. He needs rent money, so when the school calls to get his substitute teacher roommate, he pretends to be him so he can get a paycheck. Once at the school, he continues to be selfish. The kids are just a means to him getting money. Then he finds out they can play instruments and decides to use them further by making them into a band so that he can win a music competition with a large cash prize. As selfish as it started, this decision is where his growth starts because in order to succeed and not be discovered, he needs to keep the kids happy. And to keep the kids happy, he has to give them jobs that they want to do. And in order to do that, He has to think about them instead of himself and find out what they're good at and help them grow in it. Freddie is hyper and not good at anything. Put him on the drums and let him be good at something. Tamika is a wallflower who is always by herself and has no self-confidence. He encourages her and pushes her to go in front of people, and she becomes part of a group after she joins the singers. Lawrence thinks he's a dweeb. Dewey tells him that what you do, not how you look, is what makes you cool. Zach has no confidence or drive. Put him in the front and build his confidence by letting him use his creativity. But where it really becomes great is the parallel of Dewey and Summer. I don't know if it was intentional or Mike White just has really good instincts, but she's the exact opposite of Dewey. He's a slob, he's lazy, he's disorganized, and he frankly kind of dislikes people like Summer. She is put together, focused, disciplined, and frankly feels similarly about people like him. What's fantastic, though, is that they both have the same flaw. They are selfish. They want to know what's in it for them, and they both want to shine. And they both help each other move past it. He's probably the first teacher to ever dislike her brown-nosing, hard-working self, and so when she actually earns his respect, she realizes that sometimes you have to give, and it's cool to have fun. Also, him not letting her be in the spotlight, which is where she usually wants to be, helps her learn that she's actually really good at running things in the background. She's the only kid to not put up with him or enjoy his antics, so he puts her in charge. But when she gets everything moving so much smoother, he realizes that sometimes a little more planning is good, even in rock and roll. Through doing all of that, he learns a lot. Like being a rock star isn't as important as he thought. He can impact people in different ways, and there are other things that he can do with music. The movie comes down to two different themes. First, those who can't do teach. That one is actually stated in the book. He can't be a rock star, but he can teach kids to love rock and roll and music, and he gets excited at seeing them become good at something that he loves. But this movie also has a second, less frequently explored theme, and that is the best way to learn something is to teach it. He's not a good rocker when the movie starts. He's been trying for a long time, and he has not succeeded, and this is visualized by his disastrous stage dive at the very beginning of the movie. But through teaching the kids how to be rockers, he becomes better at it, and that's visualized by his successful stage dive in the finale. I haven't even said anything about the acting in this movie. A lot of it gets overshadowed by Jack Black playing the role he was born to play, but Joan Cusack is incredible as the principal. She is serious and professional in a very comedic way that I don't think anyone but Joan Cusack could even think to try. And she uses her performance to be the perfect foil to Jack Black in that it lets him shine as the absolute wacko that he is, while also being funny in a way that you really don't appreciate until the second or third time that you watch this movie. But she's hilarious. My sister quotes her monologue inside the van all the time. Even Mike White, the movie screenwriter, gives a great performance as Ned, Dewey's roommate and former bandmate. I'm not sure how many people buy him as a former member of a band called Maggot Death, but his heart and his attempts to deal with Dewey are just perfect. And the kids. This is one of the best child casts ever, alongside the Goonies and the Sandlot. And I mean all of them. You can tell they were all well directed because they all have very different characters. Even the smaller part kids give memorable performances. You may not know all of their names by the end of the movie because, frankly, they're just not said that often, but each one is given at least one memorable moment in the movie. Also, kudos to Richard Linklater for having a lot of wide shots with a bunch of the kids all in view at once, and giving every single one of them in-character things to do. Just a quick list of little things. I love the moment when the kids are reminded that they're pretending to be dying, so Freddy just collapses on the street. I love the little joke that the kid who's put in charge of security forms a relationship with the groupies completely in the background. I love that Jack Black's song pitch is just one long take, and it looks like none of the kids laugh at him. I love that all of their costumes at the end reference the music that they've been listening to, up to and including things like Lawrence being given a cape like Rick Wakeman wears, who's the keyboardist who played the solo inside of Roundabout. I could go on, but have I convinced you of anything? Do you think that this movie might belong in the echelons of great movies? Do you not think so, but I've made you willing to give it another shot? Did you miss it and now I've made you want to try it out? Let me know. You'll see me next time if you subscribe. Bye.